As we know, Salesforce has more than its fair share of quirks, and one of them is the quirk about time zones and login hours. So this video attempts to unravel this and clear up any mystery that you can have with some strange behaviors or apparent strange behaviors with login hours. So what we're going to do is that we need one particular profile, which in this developer org is the EMEA sales profile. We want to set some login hours, and this organization is a default time zone of Pacific Daylight Time, Los Angeles. And we're all based in the UK, but I'm just going to leave it at that deliberately just to show you what happens. The reason is that because the default company time zone will always be Pacific Daylight Time if at the point that the org is created. So when you first sign up for your developer org, that's what comes out of the box. And if you forget to set that to your local time zone, like the UK, then this behavior that I'm about to demonstrate will manifest itself. We'll first of all look at the user who will have this profile, Philip Haynes, and his default time is actually set to Irish time. Ireland and the UK are on the same time zone, so we will leave it as locale Ireland and time zone Ireland. We want to set the login hours as 9 to 5 p.m. If we scroll to login hours, we'll just jump in and edit. There is a banner here which will escape most of us, me included, but it's warning us now that all times are in GMT-7 or Pacific Daylight Time. So if we dive in here and start putting in 9 to 5, I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to put it in for a couple of days just to save time. It's not necessary to plow through every day of the week. We'll just do 2, and then we leave all the others as they are. And we'll click save. Now what's happened is that the internal clock has converted these to Californian time, which translates to UK time 1700 to 0100 in the morning. And there is no banner up here anymore. It's just in a list view. It doesn't tell you what's going on. You might rightly think, okay, I'm going to go and set the locale to UK time, and then that should fix it. I've noticed this quirk, and it's concerning me. Here into the company information and change the default locale. So we're going to move to the United Kingdom, English, and obviously the time of day needs to come to London time. Now, when you're picking this, there are so many variations. We don't want Greenwich Mean Time. That would be 1 hour shifted back because we're in summer at the moment. We need to select British Summertime, Europe, London. That will do. Let's save. Let's go back to the profiles, refresh this page. It's still showing the login hours, Californian time, but translated into UK time. So if we were to go into the edit page, there you see the banner. So let's say that I want to do another day. I'll add in Wednesday now. Let's see if it makes any difference. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Save. No, it's got it still synced to California time. So what about clearing? Let's see if that works. We just clear those. We'll save, click edit. Now it's still warning us. That is because where we are is that because we did the profile login hours for the first time when the company locale was set default to California, it's potentially the case that we're stuck with that. So the plot thickens with login hours, profiles, and how it all interacts with the time zone that the user is in and the time zone that existed as the company default on the first occasion that login hours was set for that particular profile. I'm going to show you what's been going on. Earlier in the video, you saw that we changed the company time to UK time. It was on Pacific. Here's the company information, and the default time zone is British Summer Time. As you saw me change earlier in the video, it's the 11th of June, and that was at 6:21 this morning. If we come back to the EMEA sales profile, which is the one that Philip Haynes has assigned to him at this time, scroll down, we come to login hours, and we've been trying to set this. And at the moment it's got, because today is Thursday, I was experimenting and I was looking to narrow down so that I could actually meaningfully test this to see if I would be blocked. What I did was I went into edit and I set 9 till 11 a.m., which when you look at this profile, no matter what I do, it's not going to change. The times are hard set now. There's nothing we can do to change this. Pacific Daylight Time. It's not 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in the UK at the moment. That's not going to work. If I clear these and then just save it, just for the moment, we'll give Philip unrestricted login, and I'm going to, through a separate browser, log in. The friction of log out, log in as different users and back in as yourself is a right royal pain. All these browser tabs here is Microsoft Edge, but over here I have Chrome, and I'll be able to log in as Philip on this and be logged in at the same time. Logging in as Philip, brilliant. That's let me do that. I'm in, and it's come into the default sales profile, but we're not interested in what he can do. We're just interested in whether he can log in or not. So we know that he has the EMEA sales profile, which is unrestricted. As the erstwhile admin, so maybe I've joined this company recently and I don't know anything of the history of how these profiles were set up and what company default locale time zones and all of that has been done in the past. I'm asked to give him restricted login hours. So let's say that for Thursdays, we want him only to be able to log in between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. So he has just a 3-hour window to be able to work. So we'll save that. But that's straight away been translated to 1700 to 2000 BST. What it's telling us is, look, that's not going to work because that profile is hooked to the time clock of Los Angeles. That is the window that he gets from 5 till 8 in the evening. So let's just put that to the test. And I've just dragged over the browser. So to all intents and purposes, he's still logged in. So it's useful here to see what happens when you are suddenly outside your login hours. You could be working perfectly happily, and then your login hours, you get to 1 minute past where you should be. Nothing happens until you try to navigate somewhere. I just clicked, it's thrown me out. If I try to get back in, click, and it says, oh, check your username and password. I would have hoped that there would have been a more meaningful thing here, but making you suspect that it's one of your username or password issues. What you're going to do, you're just going to keep trying and ending up locking yourself out. We'll go and set something up so that he can log in, bearing in mind that it is 10:21 now. We need to pick a time that is, say, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. UK time. So I have to then work out, I have to take 8 hours off that. 10 minus 8 will be 2. So 2 to 3 a.m. Pacific time should do it. 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. Pacific time. Save. Let's see what that translates to. 10 BST to 11 BST. That's absolutely perfect. Fingers crossed, I'll be able to log in now. Boom. I'm in. I always like to confirm. So there it is. Philip Haynes, logged in. So what does it mean? Well, it means basically that the profile is forevermore hooked to the Los Angeles clock. And if we want him to have login hours that mean something for him in UK time, because we don't want him forcing him to work between 5 and 8 in the evening, you have to do this time shift calculation and then put it in and gives him useful login hours for the UK. But it brings into play a much broader question about login hours and in terms of its usefulness as a tool. Because imagine a situation where you're looking to give the same profile to a number of users that all work in vastly different time zones. How are you going to get around that issue? Because you can't nuance the time zones. It's a very blunt instrument. If you have that profile and we want to say to you as a company, you can only work for the period of your local hours between 9 and 5, I can only make that work for the people who hold that profile in one time zone. So nevertheless, if you're a company that wants to enforce this and you don't want people logging in at weekends or in the evenings, that is how you do it. And if you're all based in one time zone, then it doesn't matter. You do that right first time. So what I'm going to just show you is that there are other profiles in this org where login hours were not set. if I jump over to the custom sales profile, so that is an out-of-the-box one that came with the org. If we scroll away down to login hours, as soon as I click edit, just watch. Now it says all times are in GMT +1, British Summer Time. That's really good, isn't it? Because this is the first time that this profile is having login hours to be set. And that post dates the point at which the default time zone for the company was shifted to the UK. We can set something in here, and we can go for just for test purposes, to keep it narrow, 10 till 11 a.m. 10 till 11 a.m. on Thursday, if we set that. Okay, click save. It's set. As we know, the EMEA one is, we thought it was 10 to 11, but to get the same result, we had to make it 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. because of this. Get rid of that, and then we'll go over to the users, and I'm going to change Philip's profile over to the custom sales profile. So that's done there. So through this browser, Philip is still logged in. Now, the EMEA sales profile and the custom sales profile, in terms of what you can see and do around the organization, it's going to be pretty similar. That's not what's at issue here. We are logged in and all is good. We can work away, do things as we would expect. Maybe we will just check, set up a new account. Yep, it's all working. He has that profile. But now let's make an adjustment to that profile. It's 10:30. We'll say, actually, we made a mistake. We only wanted him on this day to be working from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. That's nice working hours. So we click save, come back. Here's Philip. But the very second I tried to do something, no longer possible. But at least I was able to get some sense by other profiles not being set to the Pacific time, because the anchor is the first time you set login hours, and what does the prevailing company clock say at that time, and that's what anchors that profile forevermore. Therein is the lesson, and I think that if you wanted to not have this friction, your only option is probably to clone the profile and then move everybody across to the clone, and then see if that helps you, and then just ditch the other one. Don't use it anymore. I'm not sure if this cloning will work, because does it clone literally everything and all the metadata under the bonnet? But let's give it a go. So if I go to clone this, in fact, I'm just going to cancel it first, cancel that, and go back to the login hours and clear them. So we're cloning from a position where there were no login hours set. So go and clone, call it EMEA sales login hours test. There it is. Try setting login hours, edit. Interesting. So the clone technique hasn't worked. It's stuck. We're stuck with that Pacific daylight time. So you would have to go through the tedious process of creating a new profile and copying across everything to replicate it, which of course, depending on how richly set up it is, would be indeed a pain. So that's not going to do a thing for us. I'm just going to delete that very briefly. Create a new profile, and it forces you to clone from something. I'll choose the minimum access Salesforce profile, but I'll call this EMEA login hours test. If I dive in straight away to set login hours, edit, and sure enough, it's coming from the British time zone. So it's fairly conclusive. If you have a situation like this, you can't clone your way out of it. You are stuck with it forevermore. There may be a way to do it if you do something really clever, like a developer. If you knew which metadata to edit, you could use a command line interface or Salesforce inspector or something. That's way beyond the scope of admins looking to pass their first certification, so we'll skip that one. Nevertheless, the final point that I do want to make about login hours is, because they're attached to the profile, and of course profiles are meant to be given to many users, whereas a user can only have one profile. That's fine until you want to set login hours for people across different time zones. Then you are looking at a situation where you would have to set up time zone based profiles for people if the login hours issue is so important to you in the organization, which goes against the current thinking of avoiding profile bloat. There may be another workaround. Don't know it off the top of my head. Okay, that is an extended dive into profile login hours. Hope it was useful.